So we're about halfway through 2025 and I thought it'd be a good time to stop and talk about 4 pieces of gear that I've gotten this year that I've absolutely fallen in love with, or that has just kind of been game changing to me. So I got 4 pieces of gear, 2 of them I purchased with my own money and 2 of them were sent to me. Obviously I'll tell you which ones are which, but I have to say I've really kind of fallen in love with all of them. Now the first one's going to require a little bit of context, okay? A bit of story time. About 2 years ago I was filming a wedding, and I immediately, when I was done with the wedding, came in here into the office and I backed up all of my footage onto a hard drive, and then I went off about my day, left it for a couple of days, rested a bit, and was going to come back to get working on Monday. Whenever I came back, however, the office that I'm at here, which is in the basement of our church unfortunately got robbed on the Sunday. Somebody came in during service and walked down into all of the different offices and grabbed a whole bunch of the cables, a whole bunch of hard drives and all this kind of stuff. And unfortunately took all of my hard drives and all of my SD cards, and I lost all of the footage of the wedding because I didn't have a backup that wasn't in this space. And honestly, that was probably one of the worst days of my professional career that I've ever had. I had to make that phone call to that couple and say, hey, so sorry. And it was just, if any of you have been there, you know how awful it is. So I've started keeping backups of everything in 2 locations, right? One here at the office and one at my home. Unfortunately, that means buying twice as many hard drives. However, that's where this thing comes in. Now, you've probably seen this all over the internet, and it is a NAS. It is a system you can just plug a whole bunch of hard drives into. This one by Ugreen, it's the DXP 4800 Plus, can hold up to 112 terabytes. 112 terabytes. Now, I don't have 112 terabytes in here, and Ugreen did send this to me, and they sent me 4 terabyte drives, so I've got 16 terabytes in here. So this stays at my house, and I use this as my backup for everything that I do. And the way that this kind of works, in the most simplest terms that I can make it, is this is a personal cloud system, right? This is a selection of storage that I can access on the internet, where the N in NAS stands for network. I can access this anywhere in the world. So if I travel back home to Ireland and I'm filming some stuff, I can just hop on my laptop and send all of the footage, all of the files from Ireland to here. Over at my house, and I can do that from anywhere in the world. Same here in the YouTube studio. So whenever I finish making this YouTube video, I will take all of the footage, the Premiere file, everything, and I will drop it onto this over at my house, and I still have my backup here in my office. So I'm able to use both. Now I've also got this one set up as a RAID 5, which means that I'm kind of only getting access to the amount of storage of 3 of the drives, and the 4th drive is kind of being used as like a backup. If one of the drives breaks, don't worry, the 4th one kicks in and will sort of save the footage, which is really nice because, again, if you've been in that situation where you lose footage, it's just an absolute nightmare. This was super easy. As someone who's a brand new to NASs, this was very, very easy to work with. Installing the hard drives and everything in this is just super, super simple. You can just like plug them straight into these little bays and pop them back in. I mean, it is honestly, I've built a couple of PCs in my day. This is the simplest and easiest installation of hard drives I've ever had in my entire life. And it was just really nice and easy to set up. It's very self-explanatory. So basically this acts as my personal cloud. So I can use this, access it from anywhere in the world. I can also let other users on there. It is obviously kept private, but if I want to have another user, if I have an editor or if I have another person working with the footage, I can give them access to this drive and they can go and access all the footage. Again, let's say I'm in Ireland, this is here in Kentucky, and my editor is in California. Well, I can upload all the footage from Ireland to Kentucky, tell my editor in California who can access all these files, get them onto his computer, and then work from there. Now, real quick, one thing that I actually forgot to mention in this video about this product is the upload speeds. Upload speeds are kind of wild. So when I was at home, I tested uploading a 1 gigabyte file to the NAS over the internet. And I also uploaded the same file to Google Drive, just to check to see which one would be quicker. Uploading it to the NAS took 24.9 seconds, right? So 25 seconds. And uploading to the Google Drive took 48 seconds. So almost twice as fast, which is pretty impressive. Now, obviously that's just going to depend on, what internet you have access to. That doesn't mean every time you upload a 1 gig, it's always going to take 24 seconds. It depends on your internet, but I have to say I was impressed at how quickly it did upload in comparison to Google Drive. So for those of you who are uploading a ton of stuff all the time, that might be interesting too. So this has really been a lifesaver. Again, if you've ever lost footage, if you've ever had a problem with hard drives dying or anything like that, or not having enough space for backups, it's an absolute nightmare. get yourself a NAS or something that'll allow you to have a decent backups of all of your footage. All right, now the second piece of camera equipment that I want to talk about is my light source that I have here, and that is a Reflector Umbrella. I did not realize how much of a lifesaver Reflector umbrellas are and how lovely the light that comes off of them are. The lighting is super soft, really nice and clean, and it's so much smaller and simpler than like a giant softbox. And it's more universal, right? Almost every single light mount has an umbrella section on it, so you don't need to worry about it being a Bowens mount, buying adapters, all this kind of stuff. It's really, really nice, and you can get them in so many sizes. So I just put out a video there talking about the giant one that I got, 71-inch reflector umbrella, and it gives like super nice soft light. I've used it for some photography and for as like a flash, and I've also used it in a lot of my videos, and I just love the way that these look. Again, the main thing that I love about these is the weight and the size. They're so much narrower than a softbox or a lantern or anything like that. And they're lighter, so they're just much more easy to work with. You can travel with them really easily. Even the massive one, right? The one I'm using at the moment is like a 40-something inch reflector, and it works great, but you can obviously get up to 7-foot one if you want to, which I think is ridiculously big, but you know, whatever it is that you need. Obviously the larger your light source, the softer your light's going to be, so you may need that bigger one, but I absolutely love these. This is basically all I'm going to use from now on. I compared it to a book light, and I thought it was pretty close. I still kind of prefer the book light, but I certainly would choose to set one of these up over setting up a book light. So this is kind of my go-to now. I'm completely done with soft boxes, and I am a 100% an umbrella fan when it comes to lighting. And I did purchase these with my own money. I've got 2 of them. I'm probably going to get some more just because they're so handy. And also they pack down really small, so they take up no space in your storage, which I think is really, really nice. Now the third thing I want to talk about is this. This is a monopod. This one is by Sirui. Sirui did send me this, and they sent it to me months ago. So I probably should have had a video out about this like forever ago, but I just didn't make one. In saying that, I use it all the time, right? I think almost every single video I've made, I've used this monopod. Every shoot that I've done over the last little while, I've used this monopod because it's just so handy. The thing I love about this is this little latch right here. You can just loosen this latch, and with one little latch, you can, you know, extend it up to past 6 feet, or put it all the way down to like, what is that, 2.5 feet from the ground, something like that. Let it down, lock it into place, and you're good. It just works like that. And then the other lovely thing is you can just pop the whole top off like that. It's super simple. This is not by Sirui. This is actually just a little ball head by K&F Concept. It's small and easy. That's the only reason that I use it. Sirui do also sell a tripod head, like a fluid head. So if you are wanting to get super, super smooth shots, you may want to invest in like a better fluid head. Most of the time that I'm using this is because I want to throw my camera in the corner of a room and get like a big wide shot, but I don't want to have to set up a tripod and all that kind of stuff. This just takes up so much less space, and it's so easy. And as you can tell, it's freestanding, and it'll hold my FX30 with like a decent amount of stuff on there, no problem. The feet on the bottom of this are super sturdy, right? I mean, it is not going anywhere, and it really locks into place. And one of my favorite things about this is it's got this little latch, so just with your toe you can push that down, and then there's like a little ball head type thing in there, so you can like move the monopod around, just sort of like vary up your shots a little bit, which is really nice. And again, this whole thing pops off if you don't want to use that, so you can just take that piece, the top piece, and now you got a teeny tiny little baby floor tripod stand thing, just like that. Super, super quick and easy. Pop it off, pop that back on here, pop that back on there, and you're done. How cool is that? Now there are other companies that make monopods as well, very, very similar to this, with like a one latch system or like a button or a lever or something. Those are also great. Just get a monopod, a sturdy monopod. If you're investing in a monopod, it's worth investing in a good one. If you just buy like a $10 one on Amazon, I wouldn't trust an expensive camera on that. I certainly wouldn't leave it standing. That's what you end up paying for. I actually really like this little twist system. I think I prefer it even to the latch. Now the latch is easier. I used iFootage's monopod at NAB, and it is so fast, super, super quick. One of the things I like about this though is that it requires 2 hands, right? So you still have to loosen it with one hand. You can adjust it with your second hand and then lock it back into place. The reason I think that that's kind of important is if you have a super expensive camera on top of this, knowing myself, I'd get kind of lazy if I just only had to use one hand, and I'm going to be letting go of things, and you know, I'll probably end up dropping something. So the fact that this kind of forces you to still use both hands, yet is still just as fast, I kind of like, and it's a sort of good middle ground for me. And if you've ever done like run and gun events or weddings and stuff like that, and if you've not used a monopod over a tripod before, you got to give it a go. The speed and the efficiency of your shooting with a monopod compared to a tripod, it's game changing. I absolutely love them. Now, the last piece of gear that I picked up this year that I've absolutely fallen in love with is my Nikon ZF. I love this thing. I paid for this with my own money. I got it used and I got a really good deal on it. I got it for like $1,400 and I love this thing. Unfortunately, the last like month or so, I really haven't had a chance to get out and shoot a whole lot. Just with my day job, it's been super busy, but I love this camera. It makes me want to shoot. I've like grieved the fact that I haven't been able to run around with this camera more. I think my favorite thing is definitely the black and white mode. It's got a little dial here that you can switch to black and white mode, and the photos out of the black and white mode are just awesome. Being able to play around with contrast, framing, and lighting without really having to worry about color, just kind of breathed a whole new life into photography for me, right? It's a totally different experience of photography when you're not worried about color, but you're worried about contrast, you're worried about all those kinds of things. It's just different. I can't really explain it. If you've been considering this camera, just get one. I usually don't say things like that. Usually I try to exercise caution for people. But if you've been considering this camera and you think that it would be a fun one, just get one. Trust me, it is worth it. I absolutely love it. I love this little 40mm. It's very cheap and not actually all that great of a lens, but I actually really like the way that it looks. I love the image that comes out of it. And the other thing that I love about this is I can adapt my Sony lenses onto this. So all of my Sony lenses work on this camera. I've got a full video about that, so if you want to check that out, you can. So for me, this has just been probably the most fun piece of gear that I've gotten all year. I wanted to invest in something. I wanted to really dive into a piece of gear, and this has been the one for me so far. But who knows, that could change by the end of 2025. And we still got 6 more months of the year. Who knows what could come out, but who knows? Let me know what your thoughts are down below. Let me know what type of gear you're maybe looking forward to seeing come out in the rest of the year. If you've enjoyed the video, hit the like button, drop a comment, or maybe even subscribe as we continue to build this channel. I appreciate all of you for doing so, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.